those funds. So now we've got some momentum. We have, between those two sources, about $13 million in committed funds. So with those funds, we look for other funders as well. We want to leverage existing funds. Well, we have $13 million in leverage funds, and we have a building with permits. Let's make this happen. Well, didn't happen that easily. Challenge we faced was initially the state of California was having quite a few issues with its budget, and the award we received from the state couldn't beat that. They weren't selling general obligation bonds to fund the transit-oriented development awards. So that kind of put us on a little bumpy path for a while. Made it a little harder to make the pitch to other funding sources that we've got $13 million. Well, we've got $3 million from the redevelopment agency and kind of $10 million from the state fund. Over time, that worked itself out, and we were able to successfully pitch this project to the city of Los Angeles. They didn't readily have a source available for the project, but as a product of the economic times, the administration had introduced a program called the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. That's to try to stabilize the single-family development market as well as larger multifamily projects that had gone through foreclosure in urban markets. Well, we could check the box on the HUD's definition of foreclosure, so that led us to get the final piece of financing from the city of Los Angeles, $12.6 million in Neighborhood Stabilization Program. The hook was, or the tough part of that was that we had to get the project built in a year. So fortunately, the improvements were in place. We had a very hungry construction community at the time. There was not a lot of activity. So we found a contractor very familiar with adaptive reuse development, Taisei Corporation, large Japanese finance construction company, very active in downtown LA. They have a team, they have a staff. They said, we'll take on the challenge. So we closed escrow almost 3 years after entering escrow. So there's a whole story behind that. Had to keep a seller hanging in there for 3 years. Well, when there are not a lot of other options, it's a little easier. We closed escrow in September, started construction in December of 2011, and sprinted to the finish and got our certificate of occupancy a day after Christmas on 2012.
Accepted mine is in Boyle Heights, and it is historic. So it's an adaptive reuse of a hospital that was built in the early 1930s. And it's actually built on top of the former hospital that was there before that burned down. And that hospital was called the Santa Fe Railroad Hospital. Actually, the one that was rebuilt was also the Santa Fe Railroad Hospital that later became known as the Vista Hospital. The first hospital burned down, again, serviced the folks that worked at the Santa Fe Railroad. So the new one that got built in the 1930s is a different style. The first hospital that was there was very kind of clinker brick and very kind of spooky looking hospital. The second hospital that's there, as you'll see in some pictures a little bit down the road, is a kind of a mix of Mediterranean Spanish with a little flair of Art Deco. And I unfortunately didn't bring as many pictures of it. I think you'll see a couple renderings of it, but it's actually a really beautiful hospital.